Good morning, fifth grade. We are in Chapter 4, Lesson 5, Divide Greater Numbers. Let's go to Math in My World. Example 1. A large city has a total of 22,500 students that ride a bus to school. There are 75 different schools within the city. How many students are dropped off at each school if an equal number of students are dropped off at each school? So, let S represent the number of students dropped off at each school. Write an equation to find the value of S. Well, we are talking about 22,500 students divided by 75 different schools. Number 1, place the first digit. In order to place the first digit, I need to know how many digits will be required before I can divide. So I'm going to look at this 2. 75 is way too big to be able to fit into 2. So I'm not going to place a digit here. 22 is still too small to be able to be divided by 75. So I'm not going to be placing a digit here. 225, however, is definitely big enough. So my first digit is going to go over the hundreds place. Now, how many times can 75 fit into 225? Well, 75 plus 75 is 150, and 150 plus 75 is 225. So 75 can fit into 225 3 times. We must always remember that division is repeated subtraction in the same way that multiplication is repeated addition. In order to figure out 3 times 75, I just need to know 75 plus 75 plus 75. In this case, 3 times 75 is exactly 225. Okay? So 3 times 75 is 225. 225 minus 225 is 0. I have now done divide, multiply, and subtract. My next step is bring down. They have already brought down the 0 for me. So I ask then the question. I'm repeating, so I'm going back up to the top. Now I divide. 0 divided by 75 is 0. Now I multiply. 0 times 75 is 0. I subtract. I still get 0. And I bring down another 0. 75 fits into 0, 0 times 75 is 0. You see where this is going. So 22,500 divided by 75 equals 300. Since S equals 300, 300 students are dropped off at each school. Example 2. Estimate the quotient of 46,534 and 152. Then divide. Is 36 a reasonable quotient? Explain. Okay, so let's first estimate. We're really looking for a compatible number. So they've given us 45,150 because 15 fits evenly into 45. And it fits in 3 times. Now I'm going to cross out these zeros because if this were a fraction communicates a division problem. One way to simplify that problem would be to cross out a 0 on the top and a 0 on the bottom. So it's the same thing as multiplying both sides by 10. And remember, if you do the same thing to the top as you do to the bottom, then you come up with an equivalent fraction. So in this case, I can cross out one of those zeros each and still end up with an equivalent fraction. So 15 fits into 4,500 300 times. 15 goes into 45 3 times, and there are 2 zeros left over to transfer. Now let's look at our division problem. First, we need to place the first digit. In order to know where to place that first digit, I need to know how many digits are required in order to start dividing. So 152 cannot fit into 4. 152 cannot fit into 46. But it can fit into 465. So our first digit will go in the hundreds place. 152 can fit into 465. Let's see how many times. Well, I know that 150 plus 150 is 300, right? That would be 2 times, but I think it can fit in one more time. 150 plus 300 would be 450. So I think it fits in 3 times. I don't know the exact answer to that, so I need to multiply that out. 3 times 152. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So 456. When I subtract, I'll get 9. So 93. 152 cannot fit into 93. So it goes in 0 times. 0 times 152 is 0. When I subtract, I get 93 and then bring down that 4. So now how many times can 152 fit into 934? Okay, I'm going to kind of do this a simpler way. I know that 150 plus 150 is 300. So I'm going to ask myself how many times 300 fits into 900. It fits in 3 times. So 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to try 6 and see if that works, right? Because basically what I did there was say, hey, 300 is the same as 2 times 150, right? 150 plus 150 is 300. If I have 2 of those 3 times, I get 900. So there's 2 150s in here and 2 150s in here and 2 150s in here. 2, 4, 6. 6 times 150 is 900. Let's see what 6 times 152 is. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 1 is 31. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. Okay, so 6 did work. 6 times 152 is 912. 4 minus 2 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. And 9 minus 9 is 0. So my remainder is 22. In order to solve that, I did a little bit of rounding to help me out, treating it not like 152, but by a close number of 150. You don't have to do it that way. The key is just to work it out on the side and see when you multiply it out what you get. If when multiplying the product you get is too great, then go down a number. A little bit of it is trial and error, okay? The process is exactly the same as what we have done before. It's just that the numbers get a little bit bigger. One way of making those bigger numbers more manageable is to estimate and use your math facts. Okay, since the estimate was 300 and the actual quotient is 306, remainder 22, a quotient of 36 is not reasonable. So they asked us the question at the beginning, is 36 a reasonable quotient? No, 36 is not. They forgot to put the 0 in there when we had a number that was too small to divide. So 306 is a reasonable quotient. Okay, guided practice. Let's find, it says find the missing number in the division problem below. Okay, let's go through our process here. 25 fits into 47 one time. 1 times 25 is 25. 47 minus 25 is 22. Bring down the 8. So the question is, how many times can 25 fit into 228? Well, it fits into 104 times, so it would fit into 208 times, and then there's an additional 25 that can fit. So I would say 9 times. Okay, let's just double check that I'm correct there. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 is 22. So yes, 9 times 25 is 225. We subtract and get 3, bring down a 0. 25 fits into 30 one time. 1 times 25 is 25. Subtract and get 5, bring down the 0. 25 fits into 50 two times. 2 times 25 is 50. Subtract, and we have a remainder of 0. The missing number was 9. Okay, that concludes your direct instruction for today. Go on to page 279 to begin your independent practice. Please remember that if you only write the quotient, that is not considered complete work. You must show your work. You do not have to do it on this page, but if you do it on a separate page, you need to submit that page along with your page from the book. Have a great day. See you soon.